Welcome back to the lab, folks. We're going to continue on with part 2 of our little shootout between these precision multimeters here. Now, let me just update you on a couple of things. I decided to add a couple of categories that weren't included in the last video. One of those was for the buttons, because some of these have really good buttons but really stiff feeling selector switches. So I wanted to be able to break them out as two different things. I was just going to originally just have controls, and anyway, so I split that out. Let me turn this on here, and I think this one here might be a good example. I also added a category for viewing angle of the display, because if you notice that this one here has got a really crummy viewing angle, this one too, but some of these other meters here have really phenomenal viewing angles, so I included a category for that. All right, what are we going to do today? So today we're going to do a little bit of performance testing, and we're going to do that using certain means. So I use these dual banana plugs to make up some little standards, and I have a real standard here as well. So I've got resistors. So we're going to test with 3 different levels of resistors, 2 different levels of capacitor, 2 different diodes, and then what I'm going to do, bring this in, and for certain things that we can use them all together, I'm going to wire them up so we can see all the displays at the same time, and this will be our standard. I know this to be accurate. Then I'm going to record the information on each model on these sheets here. So I'll record everything down here, and then I will go back and I'll work out whether or not they're in spec, and then I will assign these categories to the spreadsheet. You'll get a 1 if it's in spec, and you'll get a 0 if it's out of spec on any particular item. So that's how we're going to proceed with that. Now, so we'll start off here with this small resistor. This one was measured out to 1.009 ohms. Now I measured all these on a Siglent SDM 3055 with a calibration that's in date, so it should be pretty good. Now this does seem a little bit low to me, so I'm going to just quickly pop out the specs on this and see if it is or not in spec. So this is supposed to be 0.5% of reading plus 10 digits. This looks like it just might be in spec. Okay, let's go on to the next meter. And while I've got that one reading there, I'll get this one settling in on the 1K. This looks a lot better. That's for sure within spec. This here looks in spec too, because this resistor is measured at 1.00011 k ohms. And we're definitely within specifications there. Okay, let's move along to the next meter. Now this here is 9.960 meg ohms. So we'll stick that in there. That'll be the high-end resistor. So this being plus or minus 1% of this range, plus 10 counts, looks like it's within spec. This one's looking pretty good. This one's looking great. Next one over. These are all looking fine. Let's go to the next over. These are all looking good. I don't see anything alarming here. So let's retire that one and move everything over one. So you will note here, there was a mention by 2 people, at least in the last video in the comments. Thank you very much for that. It really helps. About whether or not these spacings are standard. And as you can see, they're all standard spacing, which is excellent. Nothing alarming here. So let's do the last measurement here with the aiming. Very good. Okay, for the next measurement, let's try out these diodes here. This is a really loud beeper on it. Yeah, you can hear that one. Okay, here we go. We're going to start off here. We'll start off with this. This one's a Schottky diode, so it should be less than 0.3 volts. I think I did measure it at 0.251, but that doesn't matter. It's immaterial because it depends on how much the current they put through here, exactly what the result is coming out to. So we're just looking whether or not they can measure a diode properly or not. So I'll go in here this way. As you can see, there's some difference. This one probably puts in a little bit less current than that one. Everything good so far? Okay, they all passed the Schottky diode test. Now let's get the blue LED in there. That one's good. Ah, this ain't so good. Okay, it lights up the LED, but it doesn't know it has one in there. That's not good. Okay, next one. No problem. No problem. No problem. Quickly bring in this prime in here just to see what voltage the Habo test is using to test diodes. Get an idea of why it might not be able to test the blue diode. So it should be able to detect a blue diode. Let's see if it can detect a red diode. It can detect the red diode, but it can't detect the blue diode. Well, okay, so 3.2 volts is marginal, but it should be enough. This has failed the LED test, the blue LED test. All right, so let's set up next to do capacitors. Okay, first of all, we're going to start off with a small capacitor, and I measured this at 94.4 nanofarads. Yes, plus or minus 4% plus 5 counts, so it's right on. There's no issue there. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to discharge it and move it over. I'm using the 1 ohm resistor here to discharge these, and I'll put in the big one here and give them a minute or two to settle. This capacitor here is 451, so that looks pretty good there. Okay, they both look fine. Nothing standing out there either. Everything looks within spec. Let's move on. Okay, looks good. Let's move on. Actually, none of these meters here took very long to read that big capacitor, so that's pretty good. All right, see what this one has to say for itself. All right, nothing alarming there at all. Let's set up, what do we have here next? DC volts. So I'm going to bring this in, and I got to take some time here to set up some voltages and to get all these things connected together. I've got 10 millivolts coming out of this little LBA02A process calibrator going into potentiometer here, and I brought it down to exactly 100 microvolts, and we got quite a good agreement across here, all within specification. But I will note though that even though this is supposed to be a very nice meter, it's only giving 2 digits of accuracy down in the microvolt range. Same with this one, but all the rest of them are giving 3 digits of accuracy. But I see there's nothing standing out here that would have me believe that any of these meters are incorrect. Okay, now we've got 190 millivolts coming out. They're all so close. It's crazy. One of the things I will notice that I want to show you the superiority of having 60,000 counts. So you can see here, this is the only one here that maintains the full 4.5 digits. The rest of them kind of drop a digit out because they're 20,000 or 25,000 count meters. All right, we're going to go on to the next one where we're going to measure in the volt range. So I couldn't get any more than 11 volts out of this little thing here, so we'll use that. They're all within a couple of counts, and I expected that. They solved the problem with the accuracy of multimeters some time ago. We're going to go on and we're going to do some volts AC. Again, this is going to be the reference, and what I'll do is I'll pump something out from a function generator, put it in here, and we'll also test the mains. Function generator is set for 190 millivolts, and we can see that it's 188.78. So these are going to be compared to this, and we look at them all here. They seem to be all off by about 0.5%. So they're all within specification here, so that's fine. All right, I notice here brings up the dual display if you go into volts AC, but not millivolts AC. Weird. Okay, so just stick these probes into this outlet down here. I expect this to be around about 117 volts. That can be that high, yeah, that can be that high for sure. So this is interesting. These two come up here with a warning that you're measuring a voltage that could hurt you. So they're all measuring the frequency right. So far these ones are. That measures hertz. Okay, so we've got everything is measuring everything and everything is agreeing with everything else. That's really good. All right, so let's set up now to measure some current. So we're going to do just DC current, microamps, milliamps, and amps. I'm probably looking at too much here because a lot of these things are dependent upon the same things, such as the resistor dividers in there that set up to measure the different ranges. If they're accurate for one thing, they're going to be accurate for another thing. Okay, so we've got our little calibrator here, and we're going through our bench potentiometer here, and we've got it dished out to 189.47 microamps. Okay, so these three here actually check down a little bit from what I'm seeing here, but it's supposed to be 0.5%, so that would be like one whole number there, and they're not, they're within. So I think everything's good as far as the precision goes here and the accuracy. Let's go bring it up to 19 milliamps or so. Using this as the reference, we've got 19.005 milliamps, and 19.002, 189.72. Again, it's 0.5%, so that's within. Of course, these two are within, no problem at all. Okay, I don't see anything wrong there. Okay, we're all set up here. I'm going to measure 6 amp because the power supply I currently have in my lab, that's the most it'll do. And that should give a great idea of what these things will do, whether or not they're accurate or not. And I've got a load over there that's going to draw the 6 amps. Okay, it's coming up with a warning. I don't know why. So yeah, so we've got 6.0021 amps. That is going to be our baseline. And everything looks pretty good. This one here looks a little bit high. The rest of them look fine, and that one seems to be going up. I think what's happening in here is we're getting some heating of the resistor inside it. It's probably not the best meter in the world for higher current because yeah, that resistor in there is warming up. They all will to some extent, but this one seems to be doing it more than the rest of them. Although it's supposed to be good for 10 amps, you better make that measurement within about 4 or 5 seconds, and otherwise it's going to be off. So I've got to do that. I've got to let this thing cool down, and then I'll come back and I'll actually record the values when the thing is cool. Okay, so I got my initial current readings. It took about 45 minutes for this to cool down enough. It really doesn't take long before it goes out of spec. If you're going to use it for current readings, let's say above an amp or so, make those readings very quickly. Okay, so now I'm just going to check the NCV feature of these. I just got a plugged in cable here. It's not even going to anything. There's no current passing through it. Yeah, let's see. That one works. That one works. That works. That works. That works. Okay, so they all work. Okay, let's do a quick check of the continuity here. So I've got some fairly nice leads here. They've got some gold plating on them, so to give these things the best possible chance, and we'll start off by seeing what kind of speed it is and whether or not it's latched. Most of these things are loud enough to hear, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. So let's start off with this one. Very high speed, definitely latched. Now the speed, of course, is going to be a little bit subjective. This one's a tad slower, but it is latched. This one's just as fast as the first one here and is latched. Same here, fast and latched. Again, fast and latched, and this one you can hear across the room and down the hall. So they all do that very well. Okay, we're going to do one more test here. Should be a meter up here. It's an ohmmeter in 4-wire mode. And I just want to make sure everything's zeroed out here. And what I'm going to test first here are these this lead here from my Bryman. So these leads are very nice leads, gold plated at both ends. They've got very nice fine silicone insulation over copper wire. They probably, as a set, they cost more than any of these meters. So we'll use these as a reference point. And we have here 26 milliohms. Okay, let's go on to the next one here. This is a lead from the Aining AN870. It's about the same length as the Bryman. It's got a little thin gold plating on it here. I don't know if it's gold plated in there or not, but let's have a look at it. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll call it 30 milliohms. Okay, now the next set I want to test is this one here from the ZT303. It's got no gold plating on it, but it is a shorter lead. I expect it to come up a little bit lower. And sure enough there, it's at 26 milliohms, so it's 4 milliohms less, which seems reasonable for the change in length. Okay, let's go on to the ZT225. Okay, so these ones are about the same length as those on the Aining. So I'd expect somewhere about the same resistance. And, 5 milliohms more. So the gold plating on the Aining one seems to be helping it out. Now we're going to go on to the Habo test, HT118E leads. And same length as the previous ones, very similar leads in a lot of respects. And 31 milliohms. Now on to that one that I can't pronounce, the AS98D. These leads look a little bit different, but they're the same length, the same quality of stuff, no gold plating on them. They have a slightly nicer feel than the rest of them, but let's see what their resistance is like. 37 milliohms. Okay, well that's it. That's our performance testing is over and done with. Let me know what you think about the resistance of the leads. To me, they are all within 10 milliohms of those really nice Bryman leads, and they seem just fine. Nothing strikes me as being off the wall there or improper, so the leads are good. Also, let me know if there's anything else that I need to check. Put a note down in the comments if you think I need to check on something else before we come back with the next episode to wrap things up. I hope you're getting something out of this, and I hope to see you in the next video.